Hello, everybody. This is Mr. Medhat Abbas, Dar Fikr School, grade 12 students. How are you doing today? I hope that you're doing great. Today's lesson actually is the comma splices. Comma splices. So let me start by this question. Is it a crime to comma splices? First of all, let us ask this question. What is a comma splice? A comma splice is a type of a run-on sentence. So this will lead us to this question. What is a run-on sentence? A grammatically faulty sentence in which two or more main or independent clauses are joined without a word to connect them or a punctuation mark to separate them. Like this example written here. The fog was thick. He couldn't find his way home. Of course, if we talk or if we speak, no prop to mention this sentence like that. The fog was thick. He couldn't find his way home. But the problem will occur in writing. In writing. So a comma splice, a typical comma splice occurs when a writer joins together two independent clauses using only a comma as a punctuation between them. Let's revise together what's meant by dependent and independent clauses. To identify a comma splice, understanding what dependent and is. Independent clause here, you can find subject plus a verb equal independent clause. Subject, verb, independent clause. It's a long fancy word, but an independent clause is simply a sentence that can stand alone. So it can stand alone because it does have a meaning. It expresses a thought. So it consists of subject and verb, and at the same time, it does have a meaning. That's why it's independent. It can stand alone. This is what we mean by independent clause. It has also, yes, we mentioned this subject and a verb. Like this example, the sun shines brightly. Yeah, notes here, sun, subject, shines, verb, and of course, it makes sense. The sentence is understood. It does have a meaning. So it's an independent clause. Dependent clause is a phrase that cannot stand alone. If you're going to define it, so it also may contain subject or part of the verb or incomplete verb, cannot stand by itself, and it doesn't have a complete sentence, it doesn't have a complete meaning. Like here, the sun shining brightly. Yeah, so it's a fragment, which means that this verb is not a complete verb, but it's a part of the verb. It lacks here, or it's missing. Yes, very good. Verb to be, which is. So the sentence to be independent clause supposed to be the sun is shining brightly. But now the sun shining brightly is just a dependent clause. So very simply, the verb form makes this dependent. Okay, so independent clause is sentence with a meaning. Subject verb. Dependent clause, okay, subject or the verb or both of them, but fragment doesn't have a complete meaning, cannot stand alone. So look here at this guy. Yeah, maybe he's got lost. He needs a map or a guide. Why do we even need commas? So it's the same here. Commas are a signal to the reader, like your map. Yeah, sort of a road map that tells the reader when to pause, not a full stop like a period. Of course, there is a difference between pause and stop. Stop, no movement again. A full stop. Pause, just a slight stop. You need to stop for a while and then to complete. So what tells us as readers to do a pause or stop is the comma, or using the commas correctly in our sentences. Coordinating conjunctions, of course, you still remember this. A long time ago, we started to talk about the fanboys for, and, nor, but, or, yet, so. These coordinating conjunctions sometimes referred to as fanboys. Fanboys, of course, each initial here is represented on the left column here. Can be used to remedy your comma splice. Oh, so the comma splice, once it occurs in a sentence, we have some solutions. One of them is using the coordinating conjunctions. Of course, we will explain this later on in our presentation. So, a comma is not strong enough to separate independent clauses. So, to cure a comma splice, consider doing one of the following. Of course, we are going to have like 3 solutions or 3 remedy solutions for the comma splice in this sentence. So, why we using this, or why we're going to do this? Because the comma itself is not strong to separate 2 independent clauses, 2 complete sentences with complete thoughts. Let's see here our solutions or our remedy solutions for the comma splices. Number 1, replace the comma with a semicolon. He's very helpful. We all like him. Oh, we do have here a comma splice. Why? Let's see why. The first part, he is very helpful. This is independent clause and it has a meaning. It has a complete thought. Very good. This is the first part. The second part, we all like him. Subject, verb, and also it gives us a complete thought, which is also another independent clause. Oh, so what? We have here independent clause. We have there independent clause, but in the middle we have comma. Yeah, the comma here is not that strong signal that we need. The comma is so weak here. It cannot separate the 2 independent clauses. So we have a comma splice. We have an issue. How can we solve it? Yes, replace the comma with a semicolon. Yes, a semicolon, which is just a comma and a period. Yeah, now it's a complete sentence. So the semicolon is strong enough to do the separation, not the comma. So the first solution, replace the comma with a semicolon. Or, number 2, insert one of the fanboys that we mentioned in the previous slide after the comma. Yes, the same example. I insist to have the same example just to make it clear. He's very helpful. We all like him. The same 2 independent clauses. The comma here, yes, comma splice issue. We need to fix this. So we kept the comma as it is, and we added one of the fanboys according to the meaning. According to the meaning, yeah. So here it's resultant effect. So he's very helpful, so we all like him. Okay, very good. Or number 3, replace the comma with a period. Replace the comma with a period. He's very helpful, we like him, the same comma splice issue. And here we added the period, full stop, just to separate the 2 sentences. So we have here 2 complete sentences. So again, replace the comma with a semicolon, insert the fanboy or one of the fanboys after the comma, replace the comma with a period. These are the 3 remedy solutions for the comma splice. Okay, let's move on to the comic slide. Yeah, the semicolon here uses semicolon to link together independent clauses. It's like a period and a comma, period and a comma, period and a comma. It provides a stronger separation than a comma. We mentioned this previously. It's not a full stop like a period. Okay, here, look at this. We have here independent clause, okay, joined together by a semicolon plus conjunctive adverb. What's a conjunctive adverb? Yes, therefore, nonetheless, and all of this stuff, we call them conjunctive adverbs, plus comma. Let's say this here. Here are some familiar conjunctive adverbs first. However, therefore, nonetheless, Moreover, furthermore, for example, using comma is fun. Using semicolons can be fun too. This is a comma splice actually, because independent clause, weak comma. So here, using comma is fun. Yeah, semicolon. Using semicolon can be fun too. Yeah, you understand the trick here, the game that I'm playing with you? Yes. We using the data of the lesson and we make sentences. We create sentences. So using commas is fun. Okay, one independent clause. Then semicolon. Using semicolons can be fun too. This is another independent clause. Joined together or separated with the semicolon. Using commas is fun. However, using semicolons can be fun too. You have just watched it or remember the previous slide. We said a semicolon and then, yes, conjunctive adverb, however, considered to be conjunctive adverb, and then comma, and then the second sentence. So semicolon, conjunctive adverb, comma. Semicolon, conjunctive adverb, comma. This is also a different way to separate two independent clauses. So to revise with fanboys, oftentimes a good way to revise a comma splice is by inserting a coordinating conjunction or another connecting word after the comma. Use a transition word when you do not want to separate the clauses with a period or when a semicolon seems too formal. I don't want to completely separate these independent clauses. One independent clause, comma. I can use one of the fanboys. This is a different or another independent clause. So here it's a comma splice. The comma is weak enough to separate the two independent clauses. But look here, I don't want to completely separate these independent clauses, comma, so I can use one of the fanboys. What happened here? Yes, a fanboy here, one of the fanboys here, one of the coordinating conjunctions here, was added directly after the comma. Okay, now the separation happens. No comma splice anymore in the sentence. Revise with a period. I want this statement to stand out. I will use period to separate these independent clauses. Okay, perfect. Here we have the weak. Yes, the weak, comma, yes. We have independent clause. I want this statement to stand out. And another independent. I will use a period to separate these independent clauses. Very good. Here we go. Comma splice issue. Yes, look here, the period, yeah, to separate the two independent clauses. Okay, now it's your turn, my students. Grade 12, Dar Fikr School. Think about this with Mr. Midhat. Now, it's not a crime to commit a comma splice. It's an intellectual infraction. We still have the comma splice here. And of course, I'm answering my question that I mentioned at the beginning. So revise the above comma splice by using one of the three options, semicolon. It will be easily, yes, replace this comma. Or you can add it, I mean, the semicolon with one of the fanboys, one of the coordinated conjunctions, followed by a comma, and then the other independent clause. If we go for the solution number 2, coordinating conjunction, one of the fanboys directly after the comma, and the period will be a good separation here. It's a very strong and complete separation between the two independent clauses here instead of the comma. Don't get caught with comma splices anymore. Remember your options. Join with a semicolon. Connect with a connection. Yes, comma, and then one of the fanboys. Separate with a period. Separate with a period. These are the three solutions for the issue of comma splice. Of course, you need to watch out while writing. This will affect your writing, of course, positively and effectively to get a good grade. This is the end of our presentation. Mr. Medhat is saying goodbye and have a very good day. Bye-bye.